Good morning. We're gonna have a problem yet again with overhead light, aren't we? Is that too dark? No, that's not too bad. Someday I'll fix the lighting in this room. Anyway, let's see. Let me hang on one second. Let's see. My daughter is a photographer. She'd be appalled at my lighting. Well, I shouldn't say that. She's constantly appalled at my lighting is what I should say. I think that's better. What do y'all think? Petra, good morning. Good evening, sorry. So we're going to do a little bit of painting today, but I wanted to start off the broadcast with this stack of artwork in front of me. Hey, Kathy. So the first two pieces I painted on the Patreon live we did last week. We're going to be doing some more artwork on Friday with the patrons, me, and having a little chit chat. If you want to see what that is, then you need to be a supporter either on Patreon to get the live or Patreon and or YouTube membership to get the recording. So anyway, these two pieces I made on Friday, and they're going to, this whole stack of artwork is going to be going up for sale. I haven't priced any of it yet, and I'm going to sign some of it now because not all of it's signed. The top two pieces have already been signed. Anyway, if you're interested in any of them, please let me know. I haven't listed them yet. They won't be very expensive. I'm thinking like $25, $50 plus shipping, somewhere in there. So you can make me an offer before I even get it up on Etsy. So this first one is a paper-pieced expressive portrait. It's got some pen work on it, but it was really fun to do. And I've already matted it. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. I've already matted it. It's just done on a thin piece of black background paper. That one's already signed. This is the painting that we did. And he's already been waxed. He's got a wax finish on him. And he's been signed. This particular one looks more masculine than the original, which was very feminine looking, which is interesting. But love the way he turned out. But honestly, and I would keep him and hang him on the wall, except that I already have way too much artwork laying around my house, and I need to be okay with letting some of it go onto its new home. Because, yeah, that's a thing. Believe me, that's a thing. These are some sunset skyscape acrylic pours. And these have already been waxed. I just got lint all over him. So there we go. Okay, these have already been waxed also, and these are, for the most part, these are all dry. And these are different sizes, like 8x8, 9x12 sort of thing. If you're interested in a particular one, let me know, and I can get you the size. We're gonna label this one number 1 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 6. And I'm going to sign the back while you're watching. So that's 1. 2. And they're very abstract, so there's really like no wrong way to hang them. And I could have finished them with a coat of, like clear pouring top coat, which would make them look like they're covered in resin. But for this batch, I kind of really wanted them to be more of a matte finish, and I'm really liking the way that turns out. I got to put these on the desk behind me or we won't have any room to paint. So here's the third one. I'm doing this while I'm on camera because you guys are going to, like, you're reminding me to sign them. So there's the next one. I love this one kind of this way, but I mean, if you bought this one, you hang it however you want. I do think these 6 paintings would be fun painted as a group together on the wall. They would be so cool. And the last one, which I think might be my favorite one. Now, all of these pours are done on art boards, as well as our expressive painted portrait. He's also done on an art board. So they might need a little bit of a bigger bracket on the back to get them hung on the wall. But yeah, really cool. So those are all available. PM me if you're interested. All right. So I've rearranged my desk a little bit again. I shouldn't say that. Not really rearranged. I've altered what's in my drawers a little bit to accommodate my current obsession, which is still stitching. So half the desk is still stitching, but also painting. I still have the colored pencils on my desk, but they're in a different spot. Anyway, I love the new acrylic drawers that I have because I can just quickly, easily put different things in them that's accommodating whatever I'm currently doing, and that works great for me. So whatever you're using for organization in your art room, have it be easily transformable without spending any money. And that way you can just transform the bits and pieces that are on your desk to accommodate whatever current artistic obsession you have, rather than rearranging the entire desk. I have obviously a few crazy things here on the table that I know you can see. And we're going to get to those in a minute. So these are all the botanical prints I've done. Well, all the watercolor paintings, I should say, and gouache paintings I've done recently that I have turned into sticker flakes. So on the top here, we have the botanical ones. These are all sticker flakes. So if you want, you can just buy copies of these in my Etsy shop as a sticker flake. I think there's one pack currently left, but I can print more if you want them, and they're not in there. You can just PM me. I think this is one of the ones that we're going to try to do again. These are done in watercolor with some ink, and I'm interested in using that ink with gouache. So I'm going to set that one aside, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So these are the botanical ones that I did. Again, all of these are sticker flakes. Kathy, hopefully you got your flakes in the mail, or you will be getting them soon. These are some skyscapes I've done. These are also sticker flakes. I have given a couple of these away. These are done in gouache. Oh, so Euphoria, welcome. Good morning. Yes, hello. Happy New Year. I have been asked recently to do slow stitching tutorials, so that will be coming soon as I can get something filmed, hopefully this week. Well, I'll show you these in a minute. So I wanted all of these started because I wanted to make some more sticker flakes. Specifically, I wanted to redo my feather sticker. I don't any longer have a silhouette machine to cut stickers. I'd rather do them by hand, which is a long story we won't necessarily get into this morning, but I like the way they look better. And I personally like using them better. So anyway, I wanted to take some of my old designs that I personally love and turn them into sticker flakes, but I couldn't find the original feathers, which are these. So I painted a whole bunch of new ones. This is part of this story is gonna come out in tomorrow's vlog. And then after I finished all of these, then I found the originals. Because that's how it works, right? So these particular ones are very simple. And I just did different, I picked a different color for each one. Of course, I did rainbow because, you know, and that fun fact, that's the second rainbow one I did. I didn't like the first one. I threw it away. I didn't even save it. So I did different colors. Some of these colors are in the sticker flake set. Some of them are not, fun fact. Because after I painted all of these, I found the originals. So then, okay. So then after I painted these, I found the originals. So I decided to rescan some of the originals and use them with the new ones and create a set of sticker flakes. So that's what's in the set of sticker flakes. So these are the originals that I did a very long time ago. These are all done in watercolor, by the way. And you'll see that the originals have less of the feathery, have more of the feathery, hairy lines than the new ones do. It's just a slightly different way of doing them. You will notice that I used colors that blended well together. I didn't use like purple and orange because that would just make mud where the two colors meet. I started out doing these and then decided to do colorful feathers back in the day. The yellow and pink one. Yeah, these are all, there's some really cute ones. So some of these are available in the new sticker flakes, some of them aren't. But I had so much fun doing all these, I thought we would do some more painting today. So I thought, you know, I kind of want to see, this is watercolor, but what would this look like as gouache? Before we get started, I have some paper, I'm already ready. So I was at the store the other day. I have a thrift store walking distance from my house. And when I want to go for a walk, sometimes I'll walk over there with mask in my pocket. And I usually don't buy anything, but they had these little credit card cases or card cases. And I guess this is aluminum on the outside, although the plastic, the hinging system is all plastic. I guess these are meant so people can't scan your credit card information through your pocket, or I don't know, is that really a thing? Anyway, I took it home. It was only $1. So I bought it and brought it home, and I took all of the credit card things out of it and I filled it with watercolor half pans. I did glue them in. How cute is this for just a travel watercolor box? The lid doesn't open flat. Hello, Lisa. The lid doesn't open flat, but I think it's a cute watercolor box nevertheless. I really like it. I'm pretty pleased with it. So I can see like a piece of laminated white paper, some kind of, maybe something that Velcros to the edge, or I'm not sure, to make a mixing. It doesn't have a mixing place. That's not necessarily a big deal for me, but I don't know. I kind of like the way it looks. So I did that the other day. Why? I don't know. I don't need another like watercolor box, but I just thought it would be interesting to see if I could, and I did. How many of you have one of these in your closet of dishes that you never use? Who knows what this is? I didn't buy this. I had this in my closet downstairs. I was looking for something else and I saw this. You know, I never use that for its intended purpose anymore, but that would be a great watercolor mixing or gouache mixing palette. Look at all the holes. So for those that don't know, this is a deviled egg tray. So if you make deviled eggs, yeah, it's for deviled eggs, which I do make occasionally, but I haven't made in a long time. And when I do, I can just put them on a regular plate. You don't need a special plate for your deviled eggs if you make deviled eggs. But I happen to own this already. And how great would this be for some kind of watercolor palette or a mixing palette? Like you could just squeeze your tubes of watercolor into each one of these holes and just let them dry and just have this be your watercolor. If you're not going to take it anywhere and it's just going to live on your desk. Like how great would that be? So I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to share with you this morning. That was some of it. So I'm going to get a few brushes out. Let's see. I got some new brushes. Do I need anything besides that? I don't think so. So it would be really great. I am currently using this littler one and this little soy sauce dish, but you definitely, this is just a cheap Lazy Susan from Tap Plastics. They have them in different sizes, and I may need to get another one the next time it's safe to go out. But I mean, how great is that? And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but when I can get out to the thrift shops, egg plates or something you see, not a lot, but you do see them at the thrift store. So you can buy them. This one is, I believe, from Target. It just says everyday white porcelain. I'm pretty sure I picked this up at Target. They're not expensive. And again, you can get them at, you know, the thrift shops and stuff. I would suggest like white if you can. So all of my mixing dishes are just plain white porcelain. Most of them are things from the thrift shops or the dollar store or Target. And they're just inexpensive white porcelain. Now, this one is from the art supply store. It was much more expensive than this one. It's cute and all, but I would just go for something like this. I have some scrap paper here. I think this is mixed media paper. I'm just using up what I have. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Let's see. Oops. There we go. So I just wanted to start off the day with giving you guys some ideas of just cheap, inexpensive things you can use with your artwork. You don't need to go out and spend a ton of money and be super fancy about it. I'm setting up some new water jars. They're just mason jars. They're like slightly off camera up here, but they're just mason jars. So you don't have to use anything fancy. I have these. So this one is the blue one that, again, this is going to be in the vlog for tomorrow. This is the blue ink that I made from my dried up fountain pen ink. This one is paint waste, watercolor and gouache paint waste. So what I've been doing, let's move the clean white paper out of the way, is taking my little palettes and before I clean them, putting some water on there, grabbing my short scrubby brush that I use, and reactivating all that paint. And then pouring it in here, all the different colors, no matter what color it is. And it's going to make some kind of browny mud color, which is fine. And then it just wipes right off. Oops. Wipes right off. And bonus, I'll have some kind of painty ink to play with at some point, but also easily cleans my palette. You could do this and just throw it away. You don't have to like use this. And just put it in the jar and let it dry out and then just throw it away. It's better, I think, than putting it down the drain. So then this is clean. At some point, I'm going to do that with this one too. And then you just, kind of mix it up. And right now it's kind of this poopy brown color, but the more colors I add to it, the more reds I add to it, the more it's going to change. Right now it's got a lot of yellows in it. So, all right. Got some rags. Again, trying to, use what we have, right? Not go out and go shopping. This is a baby washcloth from the Dollar Tree. I bought these a long time ago. This is a piece of one of my husband's old t-shirts. So when he's cleaning out his closet, and we have he has old t-shirts, I usually, if I need rags, I cut them up and use them for paint rags. Okay, I already got schmutz on that piece of paper. Of course I did. I'm going to give my gouache paints a little bit of a spray. I don't necessarily have to because they're still pretty wet. And let's see, I have 3 buckets of water on purpose. So from right to left, we have dirty, less dirty, and clean. I'm going to try to instill in myself a new habit of keeping my waters cleaner. I have a habit of at some point after I'm done painting of like all of my water being dirty, but I'm going to try to break ourselves of that habit. All right, put my reading glasses on. Now I'm going to start with, spraying this one too. Okay. Let those sit for a minute. So we're going to start with yellow. So in my gouache, Himi gouache palette, there's this really bright lemony yellow. I'm going to grab some of that. And we're going to start with the center of this flower. And I'm barely touching the paintbrush to the paper. And I'm drawing those little, what are those little hairy things in the center of a flower called? Does anybody have any idea? I should zoom in some more. You guys can't not see what I'm doing. Yeah, so you're not alone if you feel like you're, you have a habit of dirty, whether you're painting with acrylic or watercolor or gouache, you have a habit of dirtying up all the water. You're not alone. It's a habit that's been a problem since day one of painting for me. And I'm really going to try hard this year to break myself of that. So now I'm just putting the little seed like dots that go for the flower center. We'll let that dry for just a minute. See, I'm used to my rags being on my right. Yes, if you hear noise in the background, it's raining. If the lighting looks a little weird, it's dark outside. So this is the blue ink water. And while that yellow is drying, I'm going to add some of this. I'm not going to try to be perfect, but I am going to try to keep it away from the yellow because I don't want the yellow to turn green. So I'm not going to get too far with it, and then I'm going to come in with some water. Now, the inspiration for this flower was a photo I took out on one of my walks. It wasn't blending the way I wanted, so I just added some more ink. So Kathy, that's okay. Wait until you hear what I call myself in the vlog tomorrow. I'm right there with you, hun. All I can say is there's a reason that all my white t-shirts come from the thrift store. If I could keep the dirty paint water in the jar, it'd be a great day. Just putting that out there. Okay. So now we're going to take some of that orange. It's a little bit of a darker color. And next two are on top of the yellow. Now, of course, you could get in here with the heat tool. I do have one plugged in. I have found most of the time with this gouache, I don't need to get in there with the heat tool. Now, I'm not too concerned about going on top of the yellow lines. In fact, I want some of them to show. I'm also not too concerned about shaky hands. Nature's not straight. Nature's not perfect, so I'm good with that. I just want it to highlight the center of the flower. And if you all are in the Facebook groups, I'm probably going to post the picture I took of the flower in question in the groups later today after we're done. Okay, now we're going to go in there with some pink. Looking at the paper sideways to see if there's any shiny spots, aka wet spots. Again, I'm barely touching the brush to the paper. I don't think this flower is the original flower is a lotus, but when I did paint it, it does look lotusy. That was mentioned by a few different people. I don't disagree with that. It's pretty fun to paint, I will admit. I'm enjoying painting it again. So the gouache and watercolor, any of your water-soluble paints or inks, they're going to go where the water is. They're pretty lazy that way. So they're not going to like bleed out into the dry parts of the paper. They're going to follow the water. So if you want them to blend just a little bit, then you want to put water in that spot where you want them to blend. Trying to get not too much paint on the tip of that brush. We are going to veer off a little bit from the original. No, we're not done with the inks by any stretch, but while the pink is drying so that we don't get too much purple, we're going to go in with some green. Now, I think I'm going to start with this green. And again, just very lightly touching the brush to paper. Being okay with the marks that do happen, but at the same time, not wanting to make a super huge commitment. That being said, this is gouache. So if you do commit to putting a mark on the paper or your journal page and it turns out to be in a place that you don't like, gouache is very opaque and very easy to cover up. Watercolor, not so much. So gouache is great that way. So I'm not going to get too close to the pink. On the original one that got turned into a sticker flake, the green did get a little too close. And if you look carefully, there's a green bleed into the flower. I decided to leave it, but it wasn't planned. So that's a good map of the flower. So let's grab a darker green. Well, that's still semi-wet. Yeah, so gouache is nice because it's a very opaque quality. It's also a very matte paint. So if you're going to use it in your art journals, you don't have to worry so much about your pages sticking together. And I have to tell you, for the price, for the value, these Hemi and Maya gouache are really nice paints. And a huge range of colors. You do see me when I can turning my work a lot when I'm working on a smaller project like this. That's so that because I'm lazy, messy, my middle not grace. I have a habit of sticking my hand in things when I want to make sure I'm not sticking my hand in it. I turn the piece. Oh, I haven't watched The View in a long time. I'm, was looking for something this morning to watch on YouTube with my morning coffee, and there was nothing that was very happy. So I'm just adding some dark parts to leave some shadows, if you will. Okay, that looks good. Let's add a little bit right here. You'll notice, although I got a few different brushes out, I'm still using this little tiny round brush. Now, these also are the brushes that go with the jelly gouache paints. And these are from Hemi. And this is, I don't know what this is. It's just a small round one. This is a number 4 round. And I really enjoy these brushes very much, but and they're synthetic. I'm a cheap brush kind of girl. I have learned I don't like the expensive brushes. I don't enjoy working with them. Okay, so now we're going to go back with the blue from the ink. We're going to add a little more. It dries a lot later than you expect. And this time too, we're not going to add water. Again, I'm barely touching my brush to the paper. No digging any holes to the other side of the planet through your artwork. Just have a light touch. And if your hand's a bit shaky and you're doing botanicals, that's cool because flower petals are not perfectly straight and even. They do all have their place, Kathy. I don't disagree with you. And some days I do all my paintings with the filbert, and other days I just use usually a number 6 or number 4. And I'm not saying don't buy the expensive brushes. You might love them. I personally don't like using them, but that's just me. I'm actually, I did a purge yesterday, and I'm getting rid of some brushes in one of the next purge boxes. I have some purple here to veer off from the original a little bit. What if we just add a little bit of this? Purple is a good shadow color, as of course is blue and some of your darker greens. So yeah, I did do a purge yesterday. I do have some more purge boxes coming up for sale. There's a video coming out on the 15th for some of them, not the one with the brushes, because I literally just did that yesterday. If you're interested in advance notice on stuff like that, I do have an email newsletter that my daughter helps me maintain. And if you'd like to sign up for that, the link is in the video description and or the link tree list of links, which is in the video description. Ooh, I kind of like that touch of purple in there. Hey, Aunt Beck. I have this blue-green on my palette. Let's try some of that over here in the leaves. Might be a mistake, but let's try it. Hang on a second. I'm not looking at the chat. In case you didn't know that by how quiet I got. All right. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, all the things. Yeah, I like that little touch of that blue. To make this space between that leaf and the petals a little smaller without getting super close. That's another thing I'm working on, besides keeping my paint waters clean, is leaving white space where I intend to leave white space, because that's been a constant struggle for me to actually leave intentional white space. I'm going to take some of the dark brown that's here. Just a little bit. I did this with the original. Especially doing it when some of that paint's still wet, so the brown will just darken up the paint that's already on there. Give you sort of a different tone, if you will. And let's grab some red. So you might find that when you're painting this way, you have accidental marks or accidental spaces in your painting that you enjoy and that you think work with the composition. So then just leave them, work around them. You may find that as you're painting, you lose something that you loved. You can always bring it back. This is gouache, so you can always add another layer on top. I want to mix some of the red with some of the brown, because I think we need to do this. Again, I'm barely touching the brush to the paper. That's how you get these thin lines. It's not necessarily a round brush. You could have, like Kathy said, a number 6 round, a bigger brush. But as long as you're barely touching it to the paper, you can get a really fun thin line. I do enjoy using a nice, sharp, pointy, round brush rather than a dagger brush or anything like that. There we go. Yeah, and so I like that. So I'm going to stop. I could keep going with it, but I'm going to stop there. We're going to set that one aside. I'll show you guys how easy it is to do the feathers. Not that you don't know already, but I do have some soap here that I use for a lot of my brushes. This is just Da Vinci cleaning soap. And I just will do this and then rinse them off. And it gets the white, these are white bristle brushes, so they do stain. But it'll, see, look, got most of it off, most of that red. And I rinse them off in the dirty brush jar. What is a dagger brush? Oh boy, hold on. Now you're right next to the microphone. Let's see if I can find one. Because, you know, I've got like 5 million brushes. But I might have purged them all because I really dislike dagger brushes. It's shaped sort of like a sword. Probably helpful if I take the reading glasses off because these brushes are far away. Not in that drawer. Maybe in the bottom drawer. Oh, I can't find one, but it's shaped like, hold on. I know there's one around here somewhere. I just need to stand up, which, you know, again, I'm lazy, so I literally purged so many brushes, still have so many brushes. Like, it's just a thing. See, yeah, I might have pulled all the dagger brushes out of here because I am not a fan. Hold on one second. I can answer that question. Literally, I'll just grab the box of stuff I was purging yesterday. When I tell you guys I was purging yesterday, I wasn't kidding. So this is the box of mark making tools and brushes I was purging. I never use these. These, I don't think these have been used more than like once, maybe twice. There's pencils in here. There's water brushes in here. There's all kinds of stuff in here. And there's some expensive paintbrushes in here. So here, Kathy, this is a dagger brush. Oh, on camera, yeah, there we go. There's a couple different sizes in this box. These are Princeton Neptune brushes, which is a favorite brand of brush. It's not the brand, it's the shape. These big sort of soft moppy brushes are not ones that I ever use. There's a fan brush in here. These I did very long ago. These are by Jack Richardson. These are Gray Matters brushes by, I never use them. If they still have the plastic cap on it, I never used it. This is another Princeton Neptune like mop brush, never used it. These are by Rosemary and Company, and these are great brushes, but I've only used them like once or twice. They're just not my thing. They are a triangular shaped brush. I'm not even sure you can see that on camera. So I have a whole box of stuff. These all go away. If I'm not going to use it, there's no point in cluttering up my space. No worries, Petra. And you haven't heard from anyone yet today, Aunt Beck? What do you mean? Crap, is somebody sick that you know? That's terrible. I hope not. My mother-in-law is, for those that don't know, she recovered from COVID. She's 92, with not too many side effects, a few, I think. But then she fell and broke her hip. So she's in the hospital recovering from hip surgery, which was complicated by some cardiac issues. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going to take my filbert brush, which is another Hemi brush. This is a number 6 filbert. It's just not a very big one. It's just kind of a small one. And I'll show you how I did some of those feathers. Put the reading glasses back on. So we will use colors that kind of blend together. So first I draw the spine. Oh, Aunt Beck, I am so sorry. You don't need any more brushes, Lisa. No, you're probably like me where you have too many. I'm so sorry, Aunt Beck. I will send some good energy out there for them. Oh boy. When it rains, it pours, right? So I always do the spine first, and then I'll draw a few little hairs at the bottom. And then just like with other paintings, especially right now, I'm trying hard not to leave white space, right? And leave gaps between color. Be mindful of where the water is, because that's where the paint is going to bleed. Whether it's gouache or watercolor, it's the same. So I'm going to draw the shape of my feather. I'm barely touching the shape of the brush to the paper, again, to get kind of a line. And I'm not having it meet the spine, at least not right now. I am blotting the brush off, by the way, on a rag off camera. I don't think you can see me doing that. I'm going to go into a few places and add some more paint. Yeah, don't try to go live yourself, but just try to keep busy, which I know is easier said than done. But, you know, when I'm stressed, okay, so fun fact, when I'm stressed, I'm arting more than normal, or I am cleaning and purging, or I am eating chocolate. So eating the chocolate is not good for me. Life is pretty stressful for the entire planet right now. And so cleaning and purging some more. And I am, of course, being mindful of not getting rid of things that I know I'm going to regret getting rid of. That being said, of all the purging I've done in the last few years, there's only one thing I regret getting rid of. I have this wood dough bowl, antique wooden like dough bowl, and some wooden spools that I got rid of before we moved. I regret that. So I'm usually now mindful of making sure that I like hang on to things maybe a little bit if I'm not sure. But yeah, just stay busy, Aunt Beck. And if you know, as a community, if you need us, we're here. If you need somebody to talk to or art with over Zoom or something. So because I started this with this purpley blue color, I could add pink. You're welcome. You know, as a community, we need to support each other. So it's important, especially right now. So over the weekend, I was commenting on a post from our governor, wondering when we're all going to be finding out, you know, when we're getting the vaccine. And there was somebody else who had already asked, you know, when it was going to be her turn. It led into a conversation with her where myself and a few other community members found out that she was considering suicide. And we all encouraged her to call the hotline and that the community was here for her. This is no joke, this thing. And, you know, we need to be here for each other and supportive. I understand saying that word means this video might get flagged, but I will make sure that I have marked it appropriately. We won't monetize the video, maybe. Anyway, art helps. I actually said that to her. Art helps. Let's art it out. Keep yourself busy. It doesn't eliminate everything, but it helps you make it through without being completely nuts at the end. We're glad to have you, Kathy, and you know that's what our community should be all about. So, and as far as I'm concerned, with my Facebook groups, that's what it is about. So, I don't shy away from the difficult conversations, but I will encourage you to try to use it in your art and try to get through it that way. I think it's important. And you don't have to have the same opinion as me. We can agree to disagree. Fun fact, I'm a Democrat. My husband's a Republican, so. So then I just keep making marks and making lines until I'm happy with it. And now if you want it more like the original ones where it had the, you know, the feather shapes, there's a lot of different ways to do that. One of the ways, let's see. Take a piece of an old gift card. You can make some lines in the paper, and as you paint, the pigment will like go into those lines. Oh, that is great, Aunt Peg. Yeah, I mean Aunt Peg. Holy cow, Aunt Beck. I miss thrifting. I have been a few times since this whole craziness started, but not too much. I miss it. Because about half of my stuff, supplies and things used to be thrifted, so. Now, making these feathers is a great way to figure out your color blending and what kind of color combinations that you like. And you don't need anything special. When I first started watercoloring, I just used, I used drawing paper. I don't recommend that you do that because it doesn't hold up well. Use at least mixed media paper. So I'm just pushing out the wet pigments with this edge of this gift card. Yeah, so I needed to replace some brushes that were worn out, and I needed some more matte medium. So I ordered the Himi brushes and some matte medium online at Amazon because, yeah, I don't really go to the stores too much. And when I do, actually, the few times I've been to like Michael's, I just do curbside pickup. So you can, I mean, you can keep going with that. You can go as far with it as you want or not. And again, this is just a piece of an old gift card. Actually, that's a piece of my old AAA card. I have this stack of cards. Like that's one of the things I have trouble getting rid of is cards. And in case you don't believe me, these are gift cards and old insurance cards and yeah. So let me show you how I did it, the rainbow ones. I'm going to put that over there to dry. Let's see. Yeah, so I've been thrifting a couple times, but like Aunt Beck, like you with the craft store, I go first thing when they open when there's like nobody there, and then I'm in and out in a couple minutes. But it hasn't happened a lot. It's happened maybe 5 times in the last year. It doesn't happen often. The little discovery shop walking distance from my house, there's never more than like one other person in there, and that other person is usually the sales clerk. We do a lot more dropping off than we do shopping. I miss browsing too, Linda. We all probably got some of our ideas that way, right? So yeah, I miss it. All right. So if you remember your rainbow, right? Roy G. Biv. Yeah, I have a lot of brushes now. I'm good now. My problem is I leave them in the water too long. Sometimes it's usually more my acrylic brushes than the watercolor brushes. And then what happens is the wood of the handle swells and pulls out from the metal ferrule. And then I have to glue it back together. And you can really only do that so many times before the bristles start falling out. Guess how I know that? Okay, so Roy G. Biv, your rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, right? So I usually start with violet at the bottom. So I'm going to grab my darkest purple out of the palette, straight out of the gouache palette, because it's a little bit more pigmented than what's on here. And for that, we're going to draw our spine of our feather. I used to work at Michael's, and I was a teacher there. And I had a bad habit of, whether I needed them or not, stocking up on paintbrushes when they had the sale. Buy one, get one free or whatever. I'm going to switch to the round brush. I'm liking working with that round brush. Let's go back to that. I'm feeling like I have more control. Anyway, or going to Aaron Brothers, which was part of Michael's. I don't think they're around anymore. And they used to have their brush sales too. Excuse me. No, it's not COVID. I have asthma. Hold on. Okay. Sometimes the asthma makes me want to start coughing. So then I will do the spine in the purple, the violet, and we're going to do the hairs in the violet. Okay. Then we're going to go back to the top and do red. My favorite brushes for watercolor are Princeton Neptune. I got asked this recently. And for acrylic, Folk Art One Stroke, which are hard to find. I remember when you used to be able to get them, one at a time instead of buying them in packs. What are your favorite brushes? Actually, while I'm painting this rainbow feather, what are your favorite art tools? That would be an interesting question. Okay, now I'm going to grab orange. Especially budget art tools. I only buy brushes when I have more than a few that are sort of, falling apart, or the bristles are like sideways, which is something else that happens with my brushes. Bondo spreads. Oh yeah, see, it doesn't really, matter necessarily how much it is. If you can afford it, whatever's in your budget, if you love it. I mean, for instance, I may be a cheap paintbrush girl, but I love my Daniel Smith paints. So there's a trick. I just blotted up some of that pigment with a rag because I was not happy with how much orange was there. Okay, now we're going to add yellow. I found over the years that I have a habit of saving lots of things, lots of the same thing. For instance, if I find bottle caps make interesting round marks, then I'll save like every bottle cap known to mankind. And pretty soon my art room is overrun with bottle caps. Like that's a thing. So that's when I started doing the bin system for me, so that I limited my supplies and tools to what fit in that bin. Otherwise, my space just got crazy overwhelmed with stuff. But I think some of my favorite tools are the cheap ones. I mean, just for me, that's, I think, what works. I'm less intimidated, I think, with using them because they didn't cost very much money. So now we're going to do green. And as I'm going down, I'm making it just a little bit narrower, not too much. Sometimes I do too much and then I have to go back and make it a little wider. So we'll see what happens. I'd love to see you all do like rainbow feathers or something and have you post them to the art groups and see what you're doing. Got a drop of water on the paper where I didn't want it. And I just got another one. Okay, where'd you get green? Blue, indigo, violet. Okay, blue. Let's use this blue. Yeah, I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I'd love to see you try something like the rainbow feathers or the little floral and see you do your take on it and see what happens. Let's share some art and some ideas in our different communities. Again, not shying away from difficult conversations or situations. Everybody, is struggling right now, especially people like Aunt Beck, who have so much going on at once. But let's, do what we can to get through. So indigo, I always think of as like dark blue. I have this dark blue here. I do think it might be Prussian blue, but we're going to go with it. There's some exciting stuff coming up for 2020. Exciting good stuff, not exciting bad stuff, that I've been asked to be part of. So stay tuned for that. If you have a YouTube channel and you're interested in doing some sort of joint live. We can certainly work on that. Message me. I'm available. I'm around. Where am I going to go? So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to refine some of the lines and or add some color. Because now things are dry. I should say dry-ish. Oh, cool, Kathy. Yeah, I think it's time to, be extra vigilant about posting your work. Maybe you're not crazy like me and you don't do artwork every day because I don't know, maybe you have a life. That's okay. Post what you can when you can. I'm going to take some of the pink in my palette and add it to this red. That might be a little too much, but let's see. Yeah, it's a little too much. One of the other tools that you can use with your watercolors is a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. So if you put some water down, the pigment may not pick up all the way because if it's something that stains quickly, then it's not going to pick up all the way. But the sponge actually usually does work very well. I think the feathers are fun, and I also have a collection of feathers that I found that people like Lisa Swank have gifted me from her birds. So red is a hard color to pick up because it will stain very quickly, generally. But the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser usually does a decent job. A rag will pick up some, but the Mr. Clean Eraser usually gets a little bit more. Yeah, so sea sponges work great, but you can also just take a kitchen sponge and do that too, or a Mr. Clean sponge. I would recommend if you use a man-made sponge, like you might want to tear holes in it or tear the edge rather than cut it so that it's uneven. You'll get more interesting marks that way. So you can also, if you're going to do straight lines, you can use a piece of a card to watercolor next to it to give you, push this down on the paper and then watercolor next to it to give you a straight line. So things like just a piece of plastic. Yeah, magic eraser. And again, you can get magic erasers at the Dollar Tree. So then once you have the basic colors down, then it's just a matter of refining the shapes and the marks until you get a feather that you're happy with. If you are like me, most of the time I tend to lose the white space. then that's okay. We are mixed media artists at heart, and you can always go back in with a gel pen. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you have paints and you want to mix more of an indigo color, mix your darkest blue with just a little bit of black and make some kind of dark Payne's gray color. So if you have a damp but dry-ish brush, you can also usually lift up some of the water and associated pigment. I'm usually not super careful enough to do that, but you know, that's not too bad right there. So there, rainbow feather. So you just let it dry. You can do the hairs in it if you want or not. I know the Frugal Crafter has had quite a number of videos over the years. One in particular I know is not a new video where she's done feathers, and you might want to look her up if you want to do more like this. But yeah, I like the rainbow feather is really a fun one that I do a lot. Okay, now okay. So now we'll do one more. I'll show you. So on sometimes when I want a piece that has, even if the edges are torn like this one, but I want straight edges on the paper, painter's tape, I do recommend that you stick it on your shirt first before you stick it down, because even painter's tape is like super sticky, and it does have a tendency to want to tear the paper. But taping your paper will do two things. If you're taping it like I am, where you're taping it, but also taping it to the table, so it's going to warp less than it would otherwise. It's going to, you know, get wavy less. But also you're going to get a nice straight edge. So we are going to go in with the big filbert first. And I'm going to start with this kind of blue-gray color I have here on the palette. The brush is pretty wet, but that's okay. So is the paint. Now, when I do these skyscapes, I've been doing them in the gouache, and I've been doing a lot of layering of the colors and not necessarily waiting for it to dry. And so then you need to use the heat tool if you're adding like sunset colors into it, because it will rip the paper if you don't. Rip the paper. Sorry, I'm reading Linda's comment. It will make mud if you don't, because blue and orange, yeah, they'll make brown. Yeah, so put it on your shirt. Also, Linda, if you think it's like pulling at the paper, heat up the tape just a little bit with your heat tool, and that will loosen up the adhesive just a little bit, enough that you usually can get it off cleanly. Unstickify. I like that. It's a good word. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the sort of darker blue I have over here while this is wet. I'm just dabbing. I live in the Pacific Northwest, for those that don't know. And as Kathy can attest, because she lives up this way also, the skies are more often cloudy than not. So usually when I do skyscapes, they tend to be something that's fairly cloudy. but I think they're interesting. So yeah. So yeah, Kathy. Yeah, it does actually work. I'm going to add just a little bit of this light gray I have here. Hopefully without making any green. Maybe. I do have the heat tool nearby. You know what? I'm going to leave that. I was thinking that was too dark, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to grab my heat tool. I heard about it, but I haven't started yet. I've got too many other projects going on at the moment, but I think it's a great idea. I love Anne Brooke. No, I never did either, Linda. Hold on, let me dry this. So her channel name is Anne Brooke Textile Artist. She's been doing slow stitching challenges since the pandemic started. And she has a really great channel. I've heard about the tag project. I haven't had a chance to watch any of the videos yet. And I don't know that I will for a bit. I would love to do them though, but I have too many other projects lined up at the moment. So we'll see. But I would recommend to you all to, go, even if stitching, you don't think stitching your thing, go give her a look and see what you think. She has a great channel. And, getting out of your sort of box and trying something new, if you're feeling stuck and overwhelmed, it might just be just the thing that you need. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of this light purple that's on my palette and try to find a clean place to dab it off on my brush, because that's going to be a thing. So for those of you who do live in the Pacific Northwest, we have these cloudy skies in the winter right now, but when the sun sets through the clouds, it's like pink and purple and just really pretty. I'm trying hard not to lose my white space, because usually I just give it up and just add white paint, but which I may still yet do. But we're going to try not to lose all the white, but we'll see what happens. There might not be anything that I'm capable of doing at the moment. Yeah, even if you don't think stitching is your thing and you're like, I haven't sewn anything in years, if like most of us and you still have that stash of sewing stuff in the corner somewhere, maybe this is the time to break some of it out and give it a shot and see. Maybe you'll liking doing something new with it, and maybe for that reason, then you'll keep it and you'll start using it and getting it out of the closet. Maybe you'll decide, I really don't like this sewing stuff. I'm not sure why I still have it. It needs to go. But give Anne a try and see what you think. Okay, there's this pale pink in this gouache palette, so we're going to grab some of that. If it mixes with the purple, that's okay. And these are very abstract little paintings, and sometimes people are like, what is that? And they just don't even see it, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. Yes, and Beck, I agree with you, especially because you really have to focus on what you're doing. You can't let your mind wander. You need to really focus on what you're doing. Put some music on in the background and just start stitching. And if you're not up to doing one of her bigger projects like the spool project or the slow stitch book project, both of which I did do, then tags are a perfect idea because it's just a quick, small project. You could probably do in an afternoon. Before anybody asks, the reason I'm picking the paper up and tilting it is not because I'm worried about the table getting hot. It's so I can see where the shiny spots are in the paint and where it's still wet. Oh, so they're almost ATC size. Oh, they're ATC size tags. So a lot of us have ATC parts around. Okay, I'm going to grab some of this pastel orange here that I mixed up. Yeah, whatever, is going to help you get through, whether it's working on some painting, working on some journaling, learning a new art and craft, like slow stitching. I have some watercolor books that I've been meaning to finish, watercolor tutorial books from Jean Haynes that I'm going to be working on. Whatever it is, now is the time. I mean, the slow stitching stuff is still on my desk. I have some slow stitching projects I do want to, and again, it is a great thing to do when you need to get your mind off of what's going on. See, I lost my white space again. Yeah, you can, use what you have. We all have stuff laying around that we can use. That being said, I have a bin of Who has a bin of tags, bags, and envelopes? I know it's not just me, people. Come on. For any of you who are thinking too, she's using way too many colors for that sunset cloudy sky. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I did lose the white space, which I'm going to have to bring back, but yeah. Okay. So for the white space, we're going to grab our little short, scrubby, old filbert brush. It's a filbert comb, number 6, it says. And I don't know what brand it is because there's too much paint on the brush. I'm going to grab some of the white. We should probably dry this first. You have wound down back. Oh, good. I'm glad it's not just me. I did have to pare it down because I had like 4 bins. I had to pare it all down to 1 bin because like I had enough envelopes and tags. Let's just say I was never going to use them in my lifetime. And so that was ridiculous. So some of them had to go. Okay, so now I'm going to use this white on this little brush. And we're going to scrubbing circular motions where the lightest spots are already. And or where maybe you have too much color and things need to be blended. Now I have this white a little bit watery, so it's not going to be as opaque because it's a little bit watery, so it's going to be a bit more transparent. If I decide I need more of it, I'll grab it out of the palette and grab it without putting any water. Putting a cloud over someplace in your skyscape where you don't like the way the color is blended, well, it's a good opportunity for a cloud. So I'm going to grab some straight out of the palette. I know some of you all are taking classes like Wanderlust, Robin McClendon's class, which I'm not sure what that's called. My favorite painting teacher, Pauline Agnew, is having classes right now. So I think that's the other thing what you should share is YouTubers who have, of course, free courses on YouTube, but also artists that you like taking classes from and want to support. Let's share some of that in the art groups where it's appropriate. If you're in a group, you're not sure if it's okay to share stuff like that, ask the admins. So layering white sometimes is like layering yellow. Depending on the paint that you're using, it might be fairly translucent. So if you just layer more of it, keep layering until you get the darkness that you want. Now, if it's yellow, and most of your yellows are pretty transparent, if you really want it to pop over something that's dark, then you probably want to put a layer of white underneath first and let it dry. I'm going to stop there because I like the way that looks. As I keep painting, I say I'm going to stop. Okay. Yeah, I have a hard time leaving white space because I want to just go crazy with the color. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we're mixed media artists. So if you're watercoloring or painting with gouache and you lose your white space, that's what they invented titanium white paint for and white gel pens. And if you get really crazy about covering something up, white acrylic paint. So sometimes when I'm pulling the tape, I'll start at one end and it'll start to pull the paper. So then I go at the other end. And then it pulls cleanly. Grab a Bic pen. Not that one. Regular Bic crystal. as I sit in my chair and it rolls away. So then sign it at the bottom. And on these skyscapes, I've usually been doing this. I don't know why. I like the straight edge of the paint, but then the crazy edge of the pen. So we have these that we did today. And there's just something peaceful about like the skyscapes, doing the skyscapes. They're small, so they don't take very long. And because they're small, if you wanted to do a bunch of these and then later tape them into your journals, you could do that. Use them as part of your journal pages. Yeah, so I purposefully tore the edges of these. This is just all leftover pages from a mixed media journal that I never finished. So before I spill this, I'm going to put the lid on that because my middle name is not Grace. Okay, so this is our dirty water jar, right? Dirty paint jar. Okay. So we're going to spray. And then mix. Oops. All the dried up paint. At some point, I'm thinking this, if nothing else, this dirty paint water would be interesting to do some dyed distressed papers with. I mean, if you don't have a lot of supplies, you don't have a big budget, there's a lot you can do still with just a little bit of stuff. Now, I do wash these rags. I use them over and over, and I've been asked about washing them. I will put them in the washing machine with some of that washing machine cleaner soap that you're supposed to clean your washing machine out with periodically. And we'll wait until I have a whole bunch of these rags, and I'll put them in with that soap and clean the rags plus clean the washing machine. Thank you, Kathy. So then that's clean again. And at some point, I'll do that with this one. There's kind of a lot of paint on here still, so I'm not sure if I want to do it yet, but I will at some point. And, you know, again, this would just be interesting to put in a cookie sheet, some paper, and then just dump this on the paper and then just let it dry and see what happens. And these little jars are from Home Chef meal kits. Because I can't throw anything away. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? So these gouache paints I've been using are from Amazon. There's lots of them on there, lots of different kits. This is the Himi gouache kit that comes with paintbrushes, but there's lots of them on there of all different price points. They're inexpensive. They work really well. I'm very happy with them. They're reconstitutable. So if the paints do dry out or start to dry out, just spray them with some water. And they're matte finish, so they're great for your art journals. Yep. So the flower is, I love this new one just as much as I love the first one. So I would love to see what you guys are going to can do with these kind of ideas. Let me know. And by the way, my 1 jar of paint water is still clean. Yay! Kathy, you're not alone. So like everything else in my house and in my art room, I have designated spaces for things. Whether it's Etsy packaging, or it's envelopes and bags and tags, or whatever it is. So when the designated space is full, I can't keep anymore. If it's recyclable, I'll recycle it. If it's something I think somebody else can use, then I'll donate it, or I will put it in a Purge box, or, every now and then I'll go into the friends support, the Creative Friends chat over on Facebook that I know, Kathy, that you're in, a couple of you are in, I think. And I will ask in there, okay, I have extra of blah, blah, blah. Does anybody need it? Yeah, or, focusing on something to use it up. I am doing a use it or lose it project again this year, like I did last year. And I will periodically pull things out on my desk with the intention of using them. Lately, it has been craft paints, because I am really switching to either proper artist paints or matte finish paints, not including my watercolor. I have a whole bunch of artist quality paints, Golden, Liquitex, PBO. Like, I have a lot of Amsterdam. Plus, I had overflowing amounts of deco art and folk art and, like, you name it, because I was on some design teams, among other things. The problem is most of that paint dries shiny, and you can't, if you use it in your art journals, then your pages are going to stick together without treating them with wax or clear gesso or something. So I've been switching over to gouache paints and matte finish paints, either the watercolor gouache or acrylic matte finish paints, or acrylic gouache, which is a matte finish acrylic. And the other had to go. I don't need craft paint and artist paint. So I've been using up what I have, or I got to the last few bottles and I was done with doing that. So they're in a couple of the Purge boxes. Just using it up, whether it's, God, the herpes of the crafting world, aka glitter. Maybe you have glitter in your art room and you're like, well, I have to use this or it has to go away. Pull a couple bottles out every week or every month and put them on your table and use them up. I do the washi tape. We had a discussion in one of the art groups yesterday about washi tape. So I have not as much as some people, but I have washi tapes, and I pull 1 or 2 rolls out every month, bring them downstairs, and use them in my journals until I use them up. So just let's see what we can do for that, and just use it or lose it, or pass it to somebody that can use it. Okay, Kathy, we'll see you later. You're welcome. Oh, good, Beck. I can't wait to see them. You might inspire me to make time to do Anne's new challenge. I say that cringingly. I have so much to do. Anyway, so think about how you can use your stuff up, or pass it on to somebody who is going to use it up. If it doesn't make you smile, it doesn't encourage you to be inspired to use it, then why is it clogging up your creative space? So let's just do what we can to stay sane, stay creative, stay healthy. Please wear your mask. Check out the video description for relevant links, including my email newsletter and other stuff. There's lots of specials going on. The artwork that's for sale, which I showed in the beginning of the live broadcast. If you are interested in one of those pieces before I actually get them listed, then private message me. The Purge boxes, some of which are already in the Etsy shop. If you want the one with the paintbrushes in it, again, private message me, because I haven't even listed it yet. And all of the things for the things because of the things. Take a deep breath, make some art, go for a walk, and stay off of the news, for God's sake. I know that's easier said than done, because I'm one of those. Oh, Josie, well, the recording will be up on YouTube in just a few minutes. And I do have a Facebook chat for artists and creatives where we are supportive of each other. And if you can, with a group of creatives you're friendly with, maybe start something like that. It really does help if you have a place you can discuss art and life and politics and all of that stuff without judgment, and kind of vent when you need to. It's helpful. Find somebody you trust you can talk to. So that's it for today, everybody. Have a great day. And I will see you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.